All right. How are you all doing this morning?
Good.
All right. Anybody from Juda will tell you I'm pretty laid back. Corey did a nice introduction there, but I have not been a teacher my whole life. So we'll start with that one phrase. And I think that brings a little bit different perspective to what I'm going to talk about today. If you look at the program, you got to ask yourself, why would you title a speech Leadership is one mistake at a time? You got to ask yourself, I think, is giving this speech a mistake? Well, I'll tell you what, I'll ask you at the end if you think it was mistakes to sit here and listen. Because in the end, you get to have an opinion about whether you think this is worth your 20 minutes of time. But I'll tell you what, right off the bat, the price is right. Right, Tabitha? I had the right price to give a speech today. I'll tell you why I think I can come up here and talk to you guys. For one thing, I am really good at making mistakes. I make big ones, I make small ones. I am pretty much an expert at making mistakes, guys. As a math teacher, when you sit at the board and you do 5,000 problems a week at the board, it's not a big deal that you guys catch me making a math mistake, all right? But as a manager of the machine shop, I built a piece of equipment for 3M, for Hutchison Technology up in Minneapolis before I worked here, and I'd spend 6 weeks building it, and guess what would happen at the end? It wouldn't work. That's a pretty big mistake. Or if as an engineer, when I would do a design, the machine was supposed to spit cups into a bag. And you turned it on, and guess what? It wouldn't spit cups into a bag. That's a fairly big mistake. All right? I've made mistakes, and any Juda student will tell you I tell the stories. That's cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in businesses. And that's okay. All right? That's actually a good thing. Let's be clear, I'm not a teacher at Juda because I've been sent off to a deserted island, screwed up too much, and sent here. All right? I actually chose to come here. That puts my sanity into question, not my abilities. All right? Most of my big mistakes have led to opportunity. What I mean by that, when I screwed up, I have gone on to bigger and better things typically. In the world, there are not enough people making mistakes. Not enough people blowing it, screwing up, botching it up, buggering it up, flubbing it, choking, mucking it up, humping the dog, or screwing the pooch. There's just not enough people making mistakes, guys. Or as my favorite Sunday night TV character, Homer Simpson says, don't. People are afraid to step forward and make mistakes in the world. I gotta repeat this, mistakes are okay. Now, repeating mistakes is not okay. Hiding from mistakes, not okay. That's a different subject for a different time. You gotta own your mistakes, you can't repeat them consistently. You also get in trouble for doing that. But making mistakes is not a problem. The world is begging for leaders who are ready to make decisions. If you make a decision, you move forward. But there is absolutely one direct consequence of making decisions. When you make decisions, you will make mistakes. When you take action, occasionally things will go wrong, no matter how well planned. There are two paths when you make a decision. The pie in the sky, everything works the first time and things are great. Or the more likely option is taking a pit stop through failure on your way to success. So as we gather here today, take a step forward. The one thing I'm asking you to do is try to remove this fear of mistakes. If you're going to do new things, if you're going to do great things, you're going to mess up. We don't strive to fail, but we don't let fear keep us from striving forward, all right? Taking steps forward, though, as Tabitha talked about, takes vision and purpose, and that's a big part of what we're doing today. Taking advantage of time. You guys are all small school kids too, adults, small school adults, sorry. Isn't time the one thing you don't have usually? And here we are from 9 to 2. I'm excited to hear what you do in your student councils. I'm excited to hear what you don't do. I'm excited to hear what you hope to do and want to do. I'm even excited to hear if you think ideas we have are nuts, all right? But if you're going to be a student leader, as Tyler talked about, I think we got to take a second and say, what makes a leader? Who is a leader? There's one quote I really like from Ronald Reagan. A leader, once convinced a particular course of action is the right one, must have the determination to stick with it and be undaunted when the going gets rough. A leader, once convinced a particular course of action is the right one, must have the determination to stick with it and be undaunted when the going gets rough. Now we're missing algebra. So determined, and they stick with it. That means when the problem happens, the mistake happens, they're still on top of it. They don't let go of problems. They own them and they move on. But for me, it's more than that. It's the first phrase about a leader. That phrase about once convinced a particular course of action is the right one. Once you decide that you have a course of action, that's the vision and purpose. And that's kind of what you're going to be working on today. Those really stem from passion. So I always modify the quote. When I talk in class and students, they get bored of me, all right? They've heard all of this before, all right? But a leader with passion and purpose will know the course of action is correct and will stick with it, even when they screw up. When you screw up is when the going gets rough, all right? And it's that belief in the course of action. If you really truly believe it, others will believe it. And they will become leaders too. Because a real leader doesn't make followers. A real leader creates other leaders. And those leaders will share that vision and purpose. Now there's some things, there's traits, you can get on the internet, and I did, just like Tabitha. What do you do when you have to make a speech? I don't go to Wikipedia, I go to Google, because I'm cooler than Tabitha. But there are things traits that leaders share beyond vision and purpose. They have integrity. You know, they make mistakes, but they don't lie, they don't move forward. They do what's right. They have knowledge, or at least they have knowledge in what they're leading. Guys, I'm a really good equipment builder. I'm a leader in that field. I am not real good at basket weaving, all right? But I have knowledge in particular areas. I'm a good math teacher, a horrible Spanish teacher, all right? They have courage. They're willing to step forward, even when they're not 100% sure of what to do. And that comes to the next one, decisiveness. The world needs people to make decisions. When no one else will make a decision, a leader will say, okay, based on what I know, and you might not have all the facts, and say, hey, we're going to go this way 100 miles an hour until I run into that wall. Then I'll turn and I'll run 100 miles an hour another way. Dependability. You can be counted on as a leader. You'll be that decisive person. You'll follow through. You'll help people make those decisions. You take initiative and have enthusiasm. I combine those. Because with enthusiasm, initiative is easy, right? You find the projects you have. And you have endurance. You just stay on top of the problem. And I think the most important thing is they follow the golden rule. And that's not the rule. Those with the most gold make the rules. We all know the golden rule is we want to be treated as we treat others as we want to be treated. And I think, for me, that's the easiest one. So here I am, telling you to be an agent of change, to be a leader, to be the man or the woman, and not to fear boogering it up, all right? Not to fear the mistakes. But let's interject a little small school reality here, all right? So here we go, little extracurricular thing here. I want you to think in your head of 2 extracurricular activities that you do, that you enjoy, beyond student council. Obviously, that's your number one thing. You're going to say, oh, student council is number one. Think of a couple things, basketball, volleyball, jazz band, forensics, math team, FFA, math team, volleyball, math team. Think of 2, all right? Pick 2 in your head. And right now, you don't have to yell, but I just want you to say them back to back, all right? So right now, say the 2 extracurriculars you really enjoy, back to back. Go ahead and say it right now.
Basketball, football.
All right. So when I think about a senior here, I'm going to come back to that. That's in jazz band in the morning at 7. has 8 classes in 8 hours, goes to basketball, then has a game, then has a wrestling tournament this weekend that they want to go to, and then they have Wednesday night youth activities followed by Sunday morning activities. You guys are pretty busy. In a big school, you would be hard-pressed to do more than 2 activities usually. You'd find yourself just in 2. All right? So that would be all you do. But that's not all you guys do, because if I asked you to start listing everything you do in extracurriculars, that would just take too long. Do we agree? You just start listening and listening and listening. You wouldn't stop. So we need to focus our energies. All right? And that's my one suggestion for you today. At Juda, when we started, Tabitha's absolutely right. Student council was a homecoming committee. That's what it was when I got assigned this duty. And I got assigned this duty pretty much as a brand new teacher. I had no idea really what student council should be. But all we did is start September 1st, made sure there was a dance on September 29th, and then nothing else pretty much happened until next year. When you look for that vision and purpose, and you're moving beyond that, if you're already beyond that, great. But you really can only do 1 or maybe 2 things at a time. The example I'll give is our council has been extremely focused on this thing, and this has been the only thing we've worked on. And then we'll do our candy cane little fundraiser here, and that'll be the one thing we do. And then we'll do one other thing. We keep laser focused because as a small school, you can't say I'm going to do 9 things, because then you don't do anything. And the big thing we've done here that I think you can pull away is we try anything, refine it, and then retry it before we say it's either good or bad. To wrap up, I can't stress, I said it in the middle, but leaders make leaders, all right? A true leader is going to get enthusiasm about things. It's going to get vision and purpose, a list of what you want to do and things you can do, and make things move forward. For our student council here at Juda, it was them moving forward to be more than homecoming. And I can't tell you how lazy I am as an advisor. Guys, I do no work, all right? I provide time and advice, and then pretty much sit around and don't do anything, all right? And it took some getting used to at first when the first president came here 5 years ago. But I would say this, our past presidents visited today and they've all graduated high school, moved on to bigger and better, all right? And they saw this conference today. They would be excited because their vision and their purpose is acting out right now. What they wanted and what they see today would match what they kind of hoped for when we moved off the homecoming thing at Juda. And it's because they created a group of leaders. And while Tabitha might have been confused as a freshman, at least they gave her some orders and got her going. So, as you move forward, this year and years following, don't be scared to screw it up. Don't be scared to make a decision. Take the time today to find, maybe refine, see what your purpose and your vision for your student council is. And I look at you students, it's yours. I'm sure all the advisors in the back would agree with me that this is your thing to do. This is your organization. It's your democracy of leaders. Ask the others in your mixed groups what they think. Get to know them a little bit. Tell them what you think is cool, and be polite when you think they're nuts, okay? And I challenge you to go out and make big mistakes.